Most jobs are a performance. You take a deep breath, smile, put your work face on, and get on with it. Whether you have a team to support, you're customer facing, or you teach, you need to leave your inner self at home in order to perform. You know, that inner self that wants to put on your PJs and drink coffee all day. But what happens to that performance when there's something quite serious and devastating going on at home? How do you do it then? Lots of people are dealing with some truly horrid things right now. The death of loved ones, marriage breakups. We're all acutely concerned for each other's health and happiness. I know how hard it is. It's a long road you're on. But it will get a tiny bit better every day, I promise. If, like me, you're taking it one day at a time, then how are you supposed to pull yourself together and get on that stage? Particularly if you're facing children who aren't old enough to understand why you're so world weary. Teaching truly is a job where you can't stop and take a breath. We've all got incredibly strong bladders and are masters of the sandwich on the run. Everyone deals with grief differently, but you probably feel overwhelmed and exhausted. You likely can't concentrate and it comes over you in waves. I know from personal experience that you can go from coping one minute to finding yourself sitting on the kitchen floor the next, wailing your heart out, surrounded by broken crockery and a dent in the kitchen wall. Death and loss is a huge shock. An emotional, physical, mental and spiritual shock. You're questioning everything and feel like you have no control, baffled that the rest of the world continues to get on with its day. It's also quite likely that you'll be feeling guilty, that you're letting your team down either by not working well enough or not being at work at all. But then when you do get to work, you begin to feel guilty that you're letting the person you've lost down because you were able to go to work and not think about them for an hour or two. Here are some steps you can take to make it more manageable. Number 1. Start where you are. There's no right or wrong way to deal with this. Don't beat yourself up about what you can't do. Congratulate yourself for getting to the point where you are. Realise that there's no shame in any kind of reaction and there's no time limit to grief. Your best is good enough for now. Number 2. Please don't bury things under the rug and try to ignore your feelings, or it will hit you hard later. Talk to people and take support if it's offered. Whether that's someone taking the children off your hands for a couple of hours or perhaps handling some admin for you at work. Number 3. Some people will find the distraction of work is good for them and makes them feel normal again. That's okay. If you can cope with work, write simple plans for lessons. Prepare for normal, but plan escape routes into lessons in case you need a minute to pull yourself back together after a wobble. For example, throw in the odd video, some group work. Give yourself less chalk and talk time in case you're not up to it when the time comes. And remember, it isn't the end of the world if you have to retreat home and get cover staff in. The kids will bounce back when they get you back, feeling a tiny bit stronger in a few days' time. Remember, there can be some solidarity in all this if we're honest and admit that we need support. The situation is uniquely challenging, so start where you are, take one day, hour or even minute at a time if you have to. Grief doesn't go away, but you do kind of get used to the waves that will come less often. One day you'll talk about the person you lost with joy and laughter. Celebrate their life and talk about how much they meant to you. You'll still cry on an anniversary or a birthday, but you'll keep their spirit alive with the memories you have. My son knows the great grandma he never met simply because I bring her silly stories into our conversation sometimes. It makes me smile to think she's still here, sniggering to herself behind an immaculately manicured hand when she sees me do something uncoordinated and graceless. Yet again.